We're going to do a little sample using an oil glaze here, or oil scumble. Now traditionally we thin that out with some white spirit and some colour. You can use oil-based eggshell for colour, but in this instance I'm using some tube colour artist oil. I'm using alizarin crimson and black that I've let down with some white spirit and then mixed into the oil scumble and added a little bit more white spirit until I have a working consistency that I'm happy with. It should feel like half cream that's just come out of the fridge. So I'm just going to brush this on over the panel here. Now you'll see that it looks fairly dark, but as we're going to be taking some of it off to let the background show through from underneath, we'll get a nice contrast with this. Now it's not important to have this too even because we are going to mess around quite a lot with this. So something like that is about right. Now I'll put the brush down. And in this case, I'm using some mutton cloth. Now it's important before you start that you actually charge the mutton cloth with some of the glaze mixture, otherwise it's too dry and it'd be like putting blotting paper on. So this way, hopefully this will now start to slide over the glaze. And just using a dabbing and twisting action with your wrist, just go over the surface until it's fairly even. Don't worry about little inconsistencies because they all add to the overall effect. And it is really as simple as that. I'll just take this tape off so that we can see the contrast between the base colour and the glaze colour. And hopefully it'll come off quite nicely. Now again, that's the finished result of the paint finish. We'd leave that to dry for 24 hours at least and then apply a coat of extra pale varnish and hopefully splendid job. I'm just going to show you how to do a very simple grained effect using oil-based glazes. Here's one I prepared earlier. Always wanted to say that. I'm actually going to use two different tones of the same glaze. I'm just putting on the lighter colour that I'm going to use. I'm just brushing it on. You don't have to be too careful with this. Just get it onto the surface and we'll play with it later. So you just brush it out so that it's not too thick. Something like that. Here is a slightly darker colour. It's exactly the same glaze, but a little bit more colour in it. So I'll just run this down through here. And as you can see, a little bit of colour goes quite a long way. Now I'm going to take a pencil dragger, which is one of these, available in various sizes, but any brush would do. I seem to favour these, and I'll just drag it through the surface of the glaze to break the colour up a little bit. So we've done that, and I'll just put a little bit of a wibble in it in a few places, just for fun. Now I'm going to take a flogger, a fairly long-haired brush, and basically we use this fairly flat on the surface, and as the name suggests, we flog with it. I beat the surface. It will reproduce the pores that you find in wood. Again, occasionally give it a wipe off, preferably on a bit of cloth, unless you've got lots of aprons. And to complete the effect, badger hair softener, which we use just the very tips of the brush, just like this, very, very gently, stroking it very carefully. And it will just break the surface up, break up the lines, and again emphasize the pores in the timber. Just to make it look better, I'll just wipe down the edges to try and define them a little more. Now that completes the paint effect. To finish the job off properly, we need to apply a coat of extra pale oil-based varnish. Now you're going to have to wait 24 hours before you can do this. Once you've done it, the job will look fantastic.